it's Annette Green. Welcome back. I'm here today with Elizabeth Craft Designs and a brand new planner that has just come out. This is the full-size planner, and it is like a blank canvas, I think is what they call it. I have had some washi tape inside of mine. I'm going to show you that later, but if you've been watching any design team members or the lives on Facebook with Els and some of the other designers, everyone is doing the most amazing things with this blank slate of a planner. And I have yet to dive into that, so I thought that I would experiment today and do one of my own. But I was wondering, can I use rub-ons and washi tape and embossing powder to make one? And as you can see, yes indeedy, I did. So this was, I had two planners, so I could test it out, all my different things. And if you stay tuned to the end of the video, you will see I'm going to put in there how I completely messed up the back and how I fixed it. So that'll be at the very end of the video. So let's get right into it. Okay, so some supplies that you would need if you want to do something similar is some white gesso. I just happen to have Ranger brand. I don't think it matters a lot. Of course, you'll need some paintbrushes. I used a pretty ratty large paintbrush to do some cross hatching. You'll see, I'll pull that out later. Some embossing powder. So I'm using this peeled paint embossing glaze, I think they call it, also from Ranger. I'm going to try that out, and then to go through the stencil, I'm going to use the embossing dabber because I find that easy to do rather than a embossing ink pad. All right, what else do we need? To seal everything and also to stick a few things down, some gel medium in matte, and maybe one of these little guys. Not totally necessary. You could do a lot of this with your fingers, honestly. And then, of course, stencils. New stencils coming out from Elizabeth Craft Designs. There's, I don't forget how many, 5 or 6? 6, I believe. And I am going to use washi tape and rub-ons from 49 and Market. This is their Holiday Wishes washi tape assortment. So I'm going to use those. This one is beautiful. And I'm also going to use their rub-ons in the same line. Holiday Wishes rub-on transfer set. Okay, first thing we're going to want to do is get some gesso on the front and back covers. And this is a nice tip from the design team to lay your planner, because of those rings, between or on top of 2 boxes that are the same height. It doesn't matter what boxes, as long as the coils of the planner don't hit your table and make things uneven. Okay, let me grab that brush I was talking about. This is that brush I was talking about. This was super duper cheap, nothing special, and it's really quite ratty looking. And I like that for what I want to accomplish. You know, this is a linen planner with a lot of cross hatching. So rather than putting this on super smooth, I'm going to use that brush to get it on there in that same kind of fashion. So we want to see through it a little bit. I'm going to do cross hatching this way. I'm not even going to worry about that. Some people said you can put some tape there to block that off, but I'm not putting anything, you know, thick and oozy down in there. So I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to let some of the natural planner color come through. In fact, I may have gone a little dark here, so I'm taking a little bit stiffer brush and I'm going to scrape some of that away. Take some of that off. I don't want it quite that thick, and I'll put that over there on the back cover. So we'll go back over this with my ratty brush and just get that kind of look. And then we'll do the same over here. Now this little guy gets in the way, so you just have to be careful. I know I'm going to do something to him later, so I don't care if he gets a little bit of gesso on him. Okay, and then I will get a little bit of this on here. I'm not being super careful, as you can tell. I am trying to move that black elastic out of the way, but I really don't care too much. It just adds to the whole distress look. Okay, so I'm gonna just let that sit because it's very, very thin layer. I don't have to worry about it, you know, even setting on there, but if you were concerned about it, you could grab some kind of tool. And I did this on my first one. You can stick it through one of those holes and kind of prop this up like that until it dries. Alrighty, and in that short amount of time of washing out my brushes and washing my hands, this is pretty dry, but if it isn't, you can always take a heat tool of some sort and just make sure you get that good and dry before you start the next step. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the washi tape. It doesn't matter. Oh, feel a little sticky spot right there. Gotta make sure that's dry. I don't think it matters what order necessarily. I just know that I want the washi to be an underlayer. And if you'd prefer that yours be on top, then great, do it that way. Okay, yeah, just make sure there's no tacky spots. Okay, so I am going to do this cover a little different than my first one. And I may or may not use the same rub-ons exactly. I think I might use some of the leftovers from my first one rather than opening a new package again. You just want to make sure you get it on there fairly straight wherever you're placing it. Try not to have wrinkles in it. It does lift up if you don't push too hard. And then up here at the top, I'm just going to let it hang off of there for now and just cut that excess. I'm going to trim that with a blade here in a minute. So just burnish this down really well. You can use a bone folder or something like that. And I think I want to put a little bit more. Left edge, I think I'll just kind of put this over here. And this is going to fold over. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue if we get some in there, but just to be safe, I'm just going to put a little bit down here instead. And I'm sorry, I am covering up the ECD logo down there that's embossed in the back of the planner. Okay, and so what I have done on my previous one is just taken a nice sharp X-Acto blade, craft knife, and just above the stitching I have cut it. So I'll get in close, you can see that. All right, and you know, you can fold it over if you like. I just like the way this looks, and I'm not pressing super hard because I don't want to cut those stitches, of course. That's why it's important to have a light touch and a very sharp blade. Okay, looks good. And now I'm going to take that red and white stripe, and last time I did it all the way down the edge. I want to do it a little different this time. Again, just make sure you burnish that down really well. We're going to seal over that later so it's not a concern. And then trim. Okay, and just to confirm, there are 6 in the new stencil set. These are the stencil set 3. This one has a bunch of holiday words and images. This is the one that I used with the diamonds. And there's like snow blobs and this almost like stained glass looking one. This one is like holly berries stems, and then this one is a cool like number and filigree trefoil kind of design. You could certainly grab your Versamark or any other embossing pad that you use and press that, but I find that this is pretty great for, you know, concentrating and squeezing into those spaces. I'm not squeezing a lot, I'm just making sure that the stuff is flowing. And you'll see I'm not gonna cover all of this. I'm gonna do sort of a little bit of a meandering across on an angle, and then I might come back up over here and do a little bit more. It's just meant to be a hint of a pattern in all the layers, because we have lots of rub-ons coming and all kinds of cool things we're going to do. And you can see I've put a piece of paper under here, and I like to just go for it because it's a large area. I can't really see where all those places were, so I'm just going to dump a ton of this on here. Okay, and we have some here, but if I flick it hard enough, I know some people say don't do that, but just flick it. And you can use a brush to get off any places that you see that you don't want it, of course. But I think that looks pretty good. And I could use that heat tool, but it's just a little too slow for me. I'm going to pull out the old-fashioned embossing gun. Okay, you just have to make sure it goes glossy, just like any embossing that you do. And just to make it still a little different than the one I've done already, I'm going to grab another stencil, but rather than emboss this time, I'm just going to ink. And so I've already started to mask away an area that I want to use, so the 25 here. And then I was going to pick another place, and I've just used like masking tape. But I got to thinking, like, well, I can't really see exactly where that is because I can't see through the blue. So for the next part, I'm going to use just clear tape. And this way, when you lay it down, you'll be able to see exactly where it's going to land. And also know that you want to use Archival ink. And if you watch all the way to the end, you'll see why. That's very important. So I replaced that tape with the clear tape too, and now we can see exactly where we're going. And I'm going to use my little fired brick red Archival with a brand new clean dauber. That's important. And I'm just going to put a 25 down here. Looks good, everything's nice and dry. I have my rub-ons next, so I have them kind of spread out what I have left over here, and I'm going to start just layering things up. Now a little rub-on tool, a little plastic pointy one, comes in the package. See it there? And that works fine. But I have this fancy one that I bought at some point, so I'm going to use that. And just so you can see how we're coming along, it's looking pretty good. I want to put something up in this corner. So this part might stump some of you in that, you know, how do I know how to arrange things, or where do I know where to put things so that it looks nice? And I guess the key is to focus on a few big images first. So the big holly, the truck here, the flower, get those main things on there first, and then start looking at the open places. Always remembering that you aren't just filling in an open place. So I would not, for example, take this little flower and just stick it right there in an open place. I would want it to overlap like I've done here. There's quite a bit of overlap of all kinds of things. That's much more pleasing to the eye. And it doesn't look like you've just put a bunch of things on the page. Now there's a lot of really cute things in here, like these cute little deer, but I'm just not sure if it's just too many images. So I would prefer to fill in some of these places with some of this fun, like just kind of background filler text and blob kind of stuff. For lack of a better word. And that will make it much more pleasing. Okay, that's looking good. And I'm just feeling like this place over here is very blank. It has very straight edge with that washi tape. So I want to see a little bit more red over there. And again, rather than grabbing a bunch of images that are red, I'm going to look for just hints of red, like these little berry sprigs or the words ho ho ho. And there's some little stars around the words ho ho ho, which is even better. So we'll just run it right down the edge there. You can kind of place them and see how they're going to look before you commit. So let's just put that there. I think that's going to be good. Nice. And the only other thing that I would like to do something to is this, and if you remember on my other one, this rub-on was perfect for that spot, but I've already used it. English mistletoe and holly. It was perfect. I'm kind of thinking more like something like this. Now this is part of like a wreath, I imagine, and I've cut some of it away, and I'm probably going to cut even more because it doesn't look like it's going to fit. The only thing is you have to pay attention to, there's some little words in this, so if that's important to you, then you'll have to put that on straight. But honestly, I'm going to get in there and kind of cut away where most of those words are. There's still going to be some, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. And I'm just going to get that strap out of the way the best I can, get an idea, and then trim around where I don't want it to hit that band. And it'll look okay. I'm not worried about it. I'm just eyeballing it. It's working out okay, I can tell. And then anything that goes off the edge, of course I know I can trim it later, but I'm going to get a little bit of that bulk now while I can, so I don't have a mess. Okay. So I'm going to move the whole book and flip everything that way so I can get this all by itself and get that burnish down. Okay, just be patient. Do your best. There we go. And I can trim this off, which I probably will do, but you really could just kind of burnish it with an emery board and scrub it away. But I'll just go ahead and do this and really rub that in there, and I think that just turned out really, really pretty. Okay, and you might be feeling like it's just about finished here. I kind of check to make sure that the spine is good. Everything looks pretty from the front. The back looks like it could use just a little more filler, so all I've done is isolate a lot of these little star clusters, and I'm just going to fill in with that, and that's going to be the finishing touches. So I have determined a couple of places that I want to add those, and I'll get those on there, and then we'll seal this up and it'll be finished. And I have changed to the Dina Wakley gel medium, matte medium. This was the one that I was using to stick down some little stray areas. I know I showed a different matte medium at the beginning, but I do believe this is the better quality one. So Liquitex is great too, if that's something that we can all find at our local craft stores. So rather than just globbing it all over here, I'm going to get it dabbed on there first. Okay, I'll be back shortly when this is all dry. Okay, and it is all finished. I am going to seal it with another coat on both sides in a moment. But I just wanted to show you, I did not seal this before I tried to wrap it around, and I did get some cracking in there. So that's something to think about, and I don't know, but I think that if I had sealed it first, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But I'm okay with that. And then I promised that I would show you the inside. I had the washi tape in there already, and it was very bold and bright and didn't really go with the look that I had already started here. So I brushed some of that gesso over it to kind of tone it down a little bit. Brushed gesso on these areas as well, just like the front cover. And then did my, I did not do embossing powder. I did just inks on the inside. Didn't feel like it was necessary, so I did green Archival, rustic wilderness, and then the red is also Archival, of course, like the front, and that's the fired brick. But I added a few more rub-ons and did that stenciling, and I'm calling this one done. Okay, so I am done with this one, completely happy with it, and I will be doing something with that later. And then here's my other ones, so if you wanted to hang around to see what happened back here and how I fixed it, then that's going to be next. But I've already started to make a few pages to put in here with some of my planner dies, and I'm going to make a wonderful Christmas album, and I'm going to sell this one. So stay tuned for that, and there will be a video walkthrough of that before I list it in my Etsy shop. So thanks for watching. I hope you give this a try. I hope you enjoyed it at least. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, I thought I'd point out something that can happen if you're not careful that happened to me when I was testing out everything. And what happened here, as you can see all this pink smear back here, that is what happens if you, okay, this is what I did. I grabbed my dauber and I grabbed the Archival ink, but I already had a bunch of Distress ink on here, which is water-based. And I thought by dipping it in here, that wouldn't affect anything, no big deal, but it did, as you can see. So when I went to do the clear coat over the top, it just completely smeared all the pink. It didn't happen to the green because I put a brand new dauber on there before I started. So the way that you could potentially fix this is you could, now that everything's been coated and sealed, you could go over it again and see how you like that with the same ink, or you can use paint, which is what I'm going to try to do, just because I'm not sure what's going to happen with the Archival now that this has already been coated. So I just grabbed some, you know, red, Tuscan red, Americana paint, and I have a brand new little dauber here, and I will grab that stencil and go over that and try that and see what happens. Okay, and here we go. I've got some paint on there. I'm dabbing it off because it looks so heavy. I want to be very careful and just lightly kind of pounce. I'm not going to swirl. I don't want it to spread underneath the stencil. This red is very pink, so I may be okay, and I can see that I just don't like the color. Just don't like it. It's too pink, and I'm just going to get that off of there. Because it's been clear coated, it should rub right off the surface. And unfortunately, there's still a lot of that pink left behind. So I'm going to grab a baby wipe and see if we can get a little more of that off of there. Oh yeah. So the baby wipe is doing a lot better job than just a damp paper towel. Alright, I have been experimenting with a little bit of gesso on my palette knife just to see if we could kind of tone down that pink a little bit. And it's working okay. It's probably not ideal, but if I just couldn't bear to let go of the project, this would be a good solution. So once that dries, we'll get a better idea if this is going to be acceptable. The only comfort that I take is that this is the back of the planner. So maybe that's going to be okay. All right, it was looking still too pink, so I mixed up a color to resemble the color of the planner, this linen color, and I've just been touching it here and there and using my finger to tap it around to kind of tone down some of those really pink spots. And I think when this dries, I do believe I can go over it with some more rub-ons and a few other things. Oh, I had a little red paint on my finger there. See that? Gosh. Oh. I do believe that I'm gonna salvage this, and I think I'm gonna be happy with it. So I'm gonna stop there, let it completely dry. I think I'll go down to the gym and take out my frustrations, and then I will come back and we will see if we can save this thing. Okay, sometimes that's all it takes, is just to step away for a little bit, let it dry, and just let it do its thing. And it does seem like it's more blended in and less pink over here, but I still want to do something in these spaces. And as you can see, I've added that same washi tape here and down here a little bit, just kind of tore a few pieces, and I'm going to put some rub-ons in these open places. And I think we're going to be happy with this. At least I'm going to be happy with this. I hope that you are. Sometimes these smaller pieces I have to use a piercing tool. There we go. Okay, I think we're good. I think it looks nice. Really great. And I'm just going to seal this to show you how it finished out with everything after being sealed. This is how it looks. And I am going to go over it one more time with one more coat, just like my other one. And I think it's just beautiful. It's going to be great. I'm not going to do anything to the insides of this one. I'm just going to fill it. And like I said earlier, I'm going to sell it. So stay tuned for that. I just wanted to share that things sometimes go wrong, and you don't have to give up. You don't have to get frustrated. There are some things that there's always some way that you can save things or try something to make it better. So it happens to all of us. All right, thanks again for watching, you guys. See you next time.